Good morning. Look, you guys, it is snowing. I don't know if you can see that. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know how well you can see it, but it is snowing. It's not going to stick because the ground's because it was in the 70s yesterday. I was walking with, in just normal clothes yesterday here. The golf course is pretty, so I wanted to come out here and treat myself to a pretty view while it's snowing. And I'm going to make it really quick today because I actually have to work this morning. Have a couple of appointments, and so I'm calling today Love Unanchored. I almost called it Love Gone Wild, but no, I didn't. That was like, that doesn't quite feel right. It's God's love is wild. It is wild. He loves wildly and freely and without limits. But humans, if they try to do the same thing, and when they don't fully understand it, or they don't have, when it's not anchored, so I call that love unanchored, thinking of like a boat, when it's anchored, how it can not just be taken off by the waves and the storms and whatever the water's doing in the current. So if we humans haven't anchored God's love and our experience of God's love to God, we can get blown all over. Once you've received grace and this wild, freedom of love, you need to make sure that it's anchored properly, because otherwise you're going to be tossed about by love. It becomes love just uncontrolled by, or it gets controlled by your passions instead. And he lists all kinds of things here. Hopefully you can hear me over the traffic going by. But so for people love only themselves, their money, boastful, proud, scoffing, disobedient, ungrateful, unforgiving, slandering, unloving, no self-control, cruel, hate, betray their friends, reckless, puffed up with pride, love pleasure rather than God, reject the power that could make them godly. Woo! That is love. When you've accepted God's love, but you don't anchor it to the qualities of God's love and remind yourself daily, oh yeah, it can easily go off to the dark side. I thought of Anakin Walker this morning. Anakin, who was such a good kid, had all the promise of a Jedi, and then he goes to the dark side. He had it, but he wasn't anchored to the values of the Jedi, and he was taken over and realized, but he had the power of love, and he understood it, and he allowed it to go and off to the dark side. And we can do the same thing if we're not careful. When we have been given, and when we understand that God is love, God loves us no matter what. And if we stay anchored in that truth, we are able to love others, stay humble, be servant-hearted, patient, kind, all those things, respectful. And we are supposed to love ourselves. But again, if we're not anchored, we can go off and just think that we forget, and we think that it's all about us, which then just leads us down the rabbit hole of just, living for the moment, YOLO, all the fun, it's all meaningless. And then my friend that I've been talking with and coaching with has been using the word adulterated. You adulterate it. That means you alter it and you make it for your own purposes, but it's not anchored. You're just being blown by your own waves in your conscience, in your flesh, in your desires, actually going against your conscience. So we've got to be really careful. And Timothy, Paul is saying all of this to Timothy. There is snow getting on my Bible, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to have to protect it here. The snow is blowing onto me. Can you see? Little flakes. No, I don't want that to happen. Okay, hold on. Bear with me just a second. Gotta protect my Bible. Anyway, Paul is warning Timothy of this and giving all these telltale signs to make sure, stay away from these people, because they will still be religious. They will still be religious, but they're going back to their old ways. They're following the flesh, so it can be really tricky. They might sound good. He's kind of continuing that thread from chapter 2, and that they're going to use words to try to catch you in maybe some circular arguments, or, like, don't waste your time arguing with people like this. It's going to get you confused. It'll get you unfocused. It'll get you off track. Be careful of women. He points out women specifically for some reason, but I guess that is something that they were dealing with back in their day, that there were women that were particularly vulnerable to all kinds of new teaching, and they were not anchored to the truth. When you're anchored to the truth, you can be exposed to other things without being taken off track by them. Because remember, perfect love casts out fear. But you got to be anchored, and that takes time. So you got to go through a time. And then when you're a teacher, you've got to just stay focused, and we're all teachers in a way, again, but when your title is even teacher and you really are responsible for a group of people, you have got, not just a teacher, but any kind of leader, you've got to stay focused, but not so focused, anchored to the truth, but not so tunnel vision that you miss new ideas or new opportunities that could be important, and that you're shutting everybody out. You can't be completely closed-minded. So it's different. It's a different type of, when you're anchored to the truth, you can be exposed and open at the same time. Paradox. And I think that's important to know. Anyway, good morning. I've got to hop off. I cannot believe it is like 30 degrees and snowing when we were wearing t-shirts, and probably a lot of people were even wearing shorts yesterday. But that is life here in Kentucky sometimes this time of year. So I have got to go and get ready and hop on a coaching call, but I will see you tomorrow as we wrap up 2 Timothy chapter 4. All right. Have a great day. Rise and shine. Then I'll let you see the golf course. So pretty.